Okay, well, good Monday morning, New York Jet fans and NFL fans. It is November 18th, 2024, 9:19 a.m., and you are watching The Takeoff. My name is Alex. I'm actually off from work today, so I'm able to get my steps in early. It is a beautiful, just a beautiful fall morning. Temperature's probably in the 50s. The sun is out, no wind, just a beautiful morning. So let's recap yesterday then, shall we? Now, yesterday's game was supposed to be an 8:20 game. Thankfully, they moved it down to 1 o'clock, and the weather, for the most part, was great, especially for a mid-November to late November game, mid-November. It was like high 50s, early 60s, very little wind. There was a little bit of a chill in the air, but it was beautiful. You wore a light jacket. And I guess I did enough weather reports between this morning and yesterday. But I almost had a feeling yesterday was going to be a breakout game on all sides of the ball for this team. And ironically, the one side of the ball that cost us probably 2 or 3 games this year is the one that stood out, and that's with a rookie kicker coming in and hitting 3 for 3 field goals, 2 for 2 on extra points, and 1 field goal from 57 plus, almost 58 yards, which was amazing. He probably could have hit from 58 or 59. It just made it over the crossbar, but still kept us in the game. We had given up 13 points early, down 13-0 yesterday, and then come back, take a 14-13 lead, have an 8-point lead in the fourth quarter to lose it with 46 seconds left. And just another way that they figured out, or they just another way that they found to lose. I used to work with somebody who used to say, this team, they could snatch defeat out of the grasp of victory. And that's what happened yesterday. I actually was going to go on ESPN this morning. I was on hold for an hour and a half, just to give my thoughts. You had the commentators on ESPN basically saying that Rodgers is not the Rodgers that he used to be, which I get it. He's not. The age, the injury, but you had people saying, "Oh, it's not Rodgers' fault. It's around him." Listen, this is a total colossal failure, but I will say this. Rodgers was brought here to change the mentality of this team, and it has not worked. His leadership, his way in the locker room, his way in the classrooms, his way watching film, his way on the field was all supposed to culminate and take the talent that we had on this team, and we have some good talent on this team, and take it to the next step. That has been a failure. Yesterday, sitting at that game, and I will say this, okay? People said, "Are you crazy? You still go?" Listen, I had a great time yesterday with my daughters. I caught up with an old friend of mine, Jerry, who was there. He has season tickets. He's also a veteran. And was there being honored. He held the flag. So thank you, Jerry, for your service. He gave a lot of sacrifice, let me tell you that. But also, we just had a nice time. Weather was great. Tailgate was great. They gave me this new flat top grill for my birthday, an early birthday gift, and we busted that out yesterday. So, yes, at the end of the day, the team lost, but I still had another beautiful day with my daughters, and I told my daughters, don't let the outcome of the game ruin the time we had. We'll never have that back. We'll never get that back. But this is going towards now with the Jets. So you have Aaron Rodgers, who's supposed to come in here. It's supposed to be that missing piece, okay? The missing piece where you're not going to jump on a false start. The missing piece where when it's 3rd and 4, he's going to be able to pick it up. The missing piece where he's going to be able to read the defense better than the quarterbacks we had in the past. Okay, better than Zach Wilson. Honestly, Zach Wilson, after 11 games, I believe, had a better record the past 2 years prior to Rodgers being our starter. Now, you could say that says a lot about Rodgers. I think it says a lot about the team and the preparation. Jeff Ulbrich is in over his head. If he came in as a rookie head coach and just had to, well, I don't want to say just had to, but was a head coach, he'd have somebody calling the defense. He's calling both. So he's doing, head coaching plus. And for a rookie taking over a team, that should not be losing games like this, it's just another scratch your head type thing. And like I said, and if you watch my videos, I like to use analogies. Somebody once told me that Joe Torre was not a good baseball manager. He managed in Atlanta. He managed the Mets. He never made it to the World Series. And then he came to the Yankees and had all this talent. And all he had to do was sit there and babysit. But you know what? He did it. He went to the World Series from 96, 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2003. Okay? Won 96, 98, 99, and 2000. So, yes, he had a tremendous amount of talent around him, but he also knew how to manage the talent. He knew when he got Dwight Gooden, how to manage the hoopla around Dwight Gooden, the Met, star, the ex-Met star that was falling. Darryl Strawberry coming over, Darryl Strawberry with his, personal issues coming over. He knew how to manage them. And he had the respect of his team. When Derek Jeter calls you Mr. Torre or Mr. T and says he's like a father figure to us, that is respect. It's not calling a coach Robert or Brick. Okay, and that I thought of, during Hard Knocks and this year, and then my cousins brought it up. He doesn't even address the coach as an authority figure. He addresses him as a peer, and he's not. You're still a quarterback. You're still a player. And yes, these people who say, and maybe I'm all over the place today, but that's the way I just feel. These people say, oh, Woody Johnson, as long as he owns a team. Let me tell you something. Before the season started last year, when it was said that we were getting Aaron Rodgers, did anybody complain about Woody Johnson? Other than, oh, we played the same stadium as the Giants. You know what? You earn respect by doing the things to make you successful. And then you're respected as a team and as an organization, as a quarterback, or what have you. They have not won anything, so why should anybody be scared of them? Why should anybody respect the team? So all these things that, you want to point fingers, the fingers go to the product on the field. Now, yes, Woody Johnson hired Joe Douglas. Yes. Joe Douglas in turn hired, let's not forget now, he hired Saleh. He also, I believe, was part of the Adam Gase hiring, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong with that. But he has been around. This is his 6th season. Okay, so maybe he came in on Gase's 2nd season. But still, if you tell me, hey, we want Davante Adams, got Davante Adams. Hey, we want, this wide receiver, got the wide receiver, So he opens his checkbook. I'm sorry, you could blame ownership for a lot of things, but he has been willing to win. So let's get past that, okay? This is a team that's on paper. This is the team that we have. So you have Aaron Rodgers, who's supposed to come in, and he's supposed to tighten up, supposed to clean up the mistakes a rookie quarterback or a Zach Wilson or a Sam Darnold was making. And Sam Darnold not doing too shabby over in Minnesota. Is that about development? I mean, I know it took him 3 teams. He went from the Jets, he went to Carolina, and without McCaffrey in Carolina, he really wasn't that great. And then he went to San Fran, who was the backup in the Super Bowl, and now he's leading a team who could make a run. And I'd love to see them face off against the Lions in the playoffs, who, by the way, Lions 9-1. Okay, so there's hope. But anyway, go back to the QB1 that we have right now. Sitting there yesterday, crowd again, a sparse crowd. It reminded me actually of the 90s Jets Colts games, prior to Peyton Manning and Parcells and whatnot. When you had a Bruce Coslett or a Rich Kotite or a Pete Carroll going against a Ted Marchibroda and a Harbaugh at quarterback, and you had like a 10-9 game or whatever. That's where the crowd went in there. You had 3 wins, 7 losses. You just came off a disgraceful loss against the Cardinals. And, you know, we always say before we get to the game, I wonder who they're going to announce first. You know, because they always usually alternate defense, offense. And defense gave up 30-plus points last week. Offense didn't have a touchdown in the game. But the whole thing with Sauce Gardner and all that, they couldn't announce him. I think it would just be wrong if they were going to announce him. So they basically introduced the offense. And Rodgers got a great round of applause. So did Breece Hall. So did Adams. I would say the whole offense, but, some louder than the others. And they come out and they go, first 4 drives, they don't pick up a first down. On one of the drives, they don't even punt. They go for it on 4th down, and they just get stuffed. Okay, so you have 4 drives, no first downs. They don't get the first down until late second quarter. And you could see the Bronx cheer go up. And then even Sauce said this as he was being interviewed in the locker room, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But Sauce even said, I got a standing ovation after making the tackle. Yes, that was sarcasm. Because you spoke down about what's going on, and you don't need tackle presentation. You don't need this. You know what? Obviously you do. You are not the same player you were last year or the year before. But we'll get into that a little later. So you bring in Aaron Rodgers, and Rodgers is going to tighten up. He is going to improve. If Zach Wilson could win 6 games, Rodgers is going to make you win 10 or 11, let's face it, before the season started, 11 games in, a lot of people had us at 9-2, 8-3. Some people had us at 10-1. But 8-3 after 11 games, we're right up there with the Bills, who knocked Kansas City out yesterday and dropped them down to 9-1. But again, it goes back to this team coming out flat. First drive, pick up 7 yards on the first run of the game from Breece Hall. Manageable 2nd and 3. Turns into 3rd and 3. Turns into a punt. 4th and 3. Next drive, I think they pick up 3 yards. Turns into 2nd and 7. I believe they got, called back on a penalty. 3rd and long, another punt. The next drive, they had, I think it was a 4th and 2 or 4th and 1, and they got stuffed at the line. So it's just vanilla play calling with a quarterback who should not be vanilla. Okay, and again, I take into account his age and his injury, but what I don't like, what I think is a huge mislead, is they are looking to make a big play. And I saw this yesterday. There were times with Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson, and it was actually Adams I saw twice, wide open over the middle. And Adams doesn't turn around, and Rodgers doesn't see him, and he dumps it off. There was a play, I want to say it was the first quarter. He has Adams wide open. He turns, drops it off to his tight end. Tight end's kind of bobbling the ball. Looks like he has it in his hands for a moment. He drops it. It's picked up by the Colts defense. They run it in for what's called a touchdown at first. And then automatic review at the top quickly said that it wasn't a touchdown, that he never had possession. When they showed the instant replay in the stadium, you could see he never had possession, never able to take that extra step with the ball. So the call went the right way. And as that's happening, I look at the field and I look at Rodgers, and he kind of puts his arms up like that. Like, what's going on? How do you call that a touchdown? Like, no animation, no nothing. And I looked at the guy behind me throughout the game, and we were talking, and he said, he had said something. I said, Rodgers is so disengaged from this team and this game. He's not, showing any emotion. He's not showing any and the expression. When it's a miscue, he'll point to, well, that's where he's supposed to be. I mean, he threw a pass to Garrett Wilson probably 4 steps away from him. And he looked at Wilson like, oh, no, you're supposed to be over there. So who is it? And I always believe in the most common denominator. And so far, it's been Aaron Rodgers. And take away the disengagement and take away maybe he's just not happy with playing anymore or whatever it is. But 2 touchdowns that they scored yesterday, and throughout the game, no passes were attempted downfield. Not one. I don't think there was one pass attempt that was more than 10 yards from Aaron Rodgers. Now, I'm not saying that, this should be Kurt Warner and the 99 and the 2000, the 2001 Rams throwing the ball deep, down the field and just putting it up there, throwing a horseshoe up there or a rainbow up there and, somebody comes down with it. No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, for years, you never had the arm. You never had the deep threat. You got 2 receivers who could go deep, who are fast. Why aren't you throwing it deep? At least to keep the defense, on their heels. To keep them honest, as they would say. So you bring in Aaron Rodgers. Listen, Richardson, who got benched, scores 2 touchdowns on the ground. He kind of threw, now I don't know if he threw shade at the Jets or he was just giving himself a compliment, but he said he felt very comfortable in the game, very relaxed. A lot of people on Twitter he's saying how bad the Jets were on defense. Well, they did sack him a few times, and they did force a fumble. So I don't know how relaxed he was, and if he was relaxed, maybe he shouldn't be that relaxed because you did give up a turnover that we put down to points. Now, speaking of the touchdowns, they were dinked and dunked down the field. It was a little pass over the middle to Breece Hall the rest of the way. Hand off to Breece Hall the rest of the way. There was not one pass where you'd say, wow, that was just a bit off, or wow, they put the defense with their heels back. Not one pass that did that. And that is not why Aaron Rodgers is here. Aaron Rodgers is supposed to be here to give you that threat. Now, I wanted to call ESPN because everybody is saying it's not Rodgers, and their answer is, does Rodgers look right to you? Now, I don't know if Rodgers is hurt, a la Brett Favre in 2008. I don't know, but we lost 8 games. 3 of those games were by 2 scores or more. Okay, the San Francisco game week 1, the Steeler game, and the Cardinal game last weekend. Okay, Cardinal game we weren't in from the 4th play of the game. 5 of those 8 losses came down to 1 score. Okay, now I believe it was total in those 5 losses, and now 6 losses yesterday. Okay, 11-point differential. So in the Denver game, okay, I won't say anything about Rodgers on this one, but 50-yard field goal in the rain. But we did take a loss on the play prior to the 50-yard field goal attempt. So if the offense could put up 2 or 3 yards on the previous play, we win that game, okay? Minnesota game, he throws a pick, okay? What's the other game we lost? Yesterday, okay? Yesterday's 3 plays with 46 seconds left was comical. It reminded me of the replacements. It reminded me of necessary roughness. It reminded me of NFL bloopers. Okay? Hall of Fame quarterback. Your first attempt, 46 yards, no timeouts remaining. Okay? Now remember, no timeouts remaining. And he throws a pass backwards. And when he's asked about it, his answer is, I don't know, I kind of got hit, I was turning the wrong way, I threw the ball, I didn't realize it was behind me. That's the answer you give? And so, matter of factly, I don't know, it wasn't my problem, was his answer. Okay? What are the other games? So the Minnesota game, he threw a pick late. Oh, and the Buffalo game. Okay? Every game they lost, 5 drives, the offense had the ball with a chance to win the game. Now, yes, the Minnesota game, you needed a touchdown. I believe the Buffalo game, you might have needed a touchdown. I'm not sure. No, or a field goal. Yesterday, you needed a field goal. The Denver game, you needed a field goal. And you know what? We had Buffalo game pickoff, Minnesota game pickoff, Denver game missed field goal, Indianapolis basically 2 or 3 and out. I don't even know if they got the third play off. And that was it. So you're telling me a Hall of Fame quarterback with 5 chances out of 11, okay? So you're looking at about a 50 percentile, all right, with a chance to win a game, okay, in which he's done. He's thrown Hail Marys at the end of games to win games. He's thrown Hail Marys at the end of halves to get them score. Cannot muster up one scoring drive in 5 attempts at the end of a game. Where is that problem then? Is that him? Is that coaching? Is that play calling? Is that lack of execution? Or is that the team just doesn't care? I wish I knew. But all, again, common denominator, Aaron Rodgers. Okay? 2010, the Jets had 3 come-from-behind games with Sanchez, 2 back-to-back weeks. They beat the Lions in OT, and the following week went to Cleveland and had a walk-off touchdown in OT. And then they beat the Texans in a game where they were down late after giving up the lead. Sanchez hit Braylon Edwards up the sidelines for a tremendous gain. The next play hit Santonio Holmes in the back of the end zone for a touchdown. So it can be done, okay? I don't know what it is. I really don't. And yesterday, I remember we're starting to walk up because we're getting ready, to watch the end of the game. My younger daughter says, he just has to play for a field goal. Yes. He doesn't need it all, but he needs to get down. He needs 45 yards, I said. And then actually the radio broadcast said, because we were listening to it as we were walking up the stairs, that he needs to get 35 yards to get into a field goal range. And he couldn't muster that with 46 seconds and 3 plays. I actually think they lost 6 yards on that whole drive. Terribly disappointing, head scratching to say the least. And then you're hyped, and then you let down. So we're kind of in a little bit of traffic leaving the stadium. Wasn't bad, and have the radio on, of course. And my daughter goes, "I want to hear what Rodgers has to say." And he's kind of standing there like, how do I compare him to the greeter at Costco or at Walmart? No, actually, I think they have a little bit more emotion. He's kind of like, well, we talked about going for 2, and then we didn't go for 2. So basically, he's pointed the finger earlier, like, why didn't they go for 2? I would have liked to go for it on 4th and 2, but we kicked the field goal and we got the points anyway. And they want to blow a timeout on that. So, he's kind of, it's never his fault, and then he'll say something to kind of take the spotlight off everything he's saying, like, the team made a mistake. There was some MAs, missed assignments, all right? There was some stuff on me also. Oh, okay, Roger. Yesterday was the first day I said, I'm basically done with this Aaron Rodgers experimental project, or, going for it all. And I was for it when he came here. I drank the Kool-Aid. I was into it. I thought he'd really make a difference. But you know what? My buddy George has been saying it probably since the Minnesota game. He doesn't take accountability. There's no, on the sidelines, he's not talking to his players. I can remember watching, when you watch NFL films, Troy Aikman walking up and down the sidelines going, this is dog shit. This is dog shit. You guys need to step up. We need to step up. We shouldn't be playing like this. But it just seems like you get on the Jets sideline, and whatever you use to be a leader or whatever you use for emotion is just drained from you. And it's terrible. And as a fan, okay, I mean, we live, breathe, and ride this roller coaster every week. every week, every weekend, off-season, draft, training camp, mini camp, free agency, I'm looking to see now, and it's terrible, before Thanksgiving, where we are in the draft order. And get this, there are 9 teams in the NFL, okay, with 3 or fewer wins. 9 teams, okay? That's disgusting. The Vegas has 2 wins, the Giants have 2 wins, New York football has 5 wins, okay, out of, let's see, so we're 5 and 8, 5 wins, 13 out of 20 games. Are you kidding me? A 25% winning percentage? New York football? And you know what? And there's actually either, I forgot who released it this morning, the Giants are going to name Tommy DeVito starting quarterback next week. So listen, I like him. He's a local kid. But this hoopla with the Italian and the heritage and the gangster agent or whatever the frig you want to call it, it's now it's a parody. Give me a break. You're supposed to put out a winning product out there, and now Tommy DeVito, he's your better chance. Meanwhile, you have the other quarterback there, and I can't think of his name, Drew Lock, I believe, that they gave a nice contract to, and he's not starting. So how bad is Drew Lock in practice that Tommy DeVito's going out there? Or are they trying to showcase Tommy DeVito so they can trade him? I don't know. But you know what? This is a Jet podcast right now. Yes, we do cover everything. But so disheartening. Okay, so then you get off of the Rodgers interview, and they go to the locker room, and they're asking Sauce Gardner, and he wants to be out there like he wants to tackle. I mean, he is so disengaged with this interview that he actually had to ask for clarity on a few of the questions. Like, they said to him something about tackling, and he's like, "Oh, you mean today?" And they're like, "No, it's the whole season." "Oh, well, it's the whole season, things happen." But then he said something about, they said on one of the plays, I think it was right after the Jets kicked off, and they had about a minute or so left. It was just about the 2-minute warning, actually. Jets hit the field goal, they're punting. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Jets hit the field goal a little over 2 minutes, they get to the 2-minute warning, and that's where we started to make our way back up to the back, to get to the concession stand, use the restrooms or whatever, and then watch the rest of the game up there and then head out. And the first play from scrimmage, Richardson throws a bomb down the field. Well, second play from scrimmage, and he picks up like 36 yards. And Sauce points to a point on the field to, I want to say, I forgot who he pointed to. And they asked him about that, and they're like, "Were you pointing at him that he missed the coverage, or were you pointing?" And he's like, "No, I was pointing to the part of the field where somebody should have been." And, and then, again, he said something like, "I got a standing ovation for getting the tackle. They're very passionate." So he's kind of backstepping. You got a standing ovation because it was sarcasm. Because you missed how many tackles again this week? Okay, how many times did you get deked out of your shoes? You act like you don't want to be here. Now, to me, if I'm a coach, you grab him by the face mask, you say, "What's going on? What do I need to help you?" You give him a little tap in the head, in the helmet. "What do I need to take care of? How do I help you with this?" Okay, but that's not happening. And this team is separating more and more and more. And they're going in separate locations, separate areas. So now they have a bye, okay? So you're going to clear their head. And this team coming off a bye and off a break, I think is like 3-10, okay, between the byes and the long breaks or whatever. What are they going to do and come back and play against the Rams, who, are not a tremendous team, but a better team, I don't get it. Oh, actually, they play Seattle in 2 weeks. So Geno Smith will come back. It'll be the Jet revenge tour with the quarterbacks. And, well, that'll be another game. There'll be a lot of Hawk fans there. They travel very well. But it's just so disappointing that another year, 14 seasons now, that they're not going to be able to make the playoffs. Okay? Where teams have shown consistency, okay, in winning, or shown improvement year by year by year. You had the Lions last year, who lost in the NFC Championship game, which they were winning, which they probably should have went to the Super Bowl. I don't know what they would do against the Chiefs, but they probably should have went to the Super Bowl. And they're right back in it now. They're at 9-1. Excuse me. So now you're looking at draft. You're looking at, again, and a rumor out there that Joe Douglas is leaving the team to go to Baltimore. Does he resign? Does he get let go? It's very apparent that Ulbrich will not be here next year. Again, I don't blame him fully, but you had the chance to make a statement. You could have been the first interim head coach to make the playoffs. You inherited a very talented team, and basically it went downward. And the Robert Saleh firing, listen, his record was terrible over the 3+ years. I want to say that Woody wanted to jumpstart this team. Rodgers claims he had nothing to do with it. I don't know, because he did come back with Saleh this year. But you can't tell me right now that you roll this back with Ulbrich and Hackett and Rodgers. If you're going to roll it back with anybody, it's Rodgers. Listening to ESPN this morning, Rex came on. Rex is like, if Rodgers wants to be here, he goes, and Rex speaks, it's funny. Rex speaks and he's like, they said, if you were the coach, would you take him back? He's like, in a heartbeat. He goes, but he has to show me he's committed. And the way he has to show me he's committed is he's going to learn a new offense, which means Hackett would be gone under Rex. And, he's talking, and he goes, I would love to have a Hall of Fame quarterback. He goes, unless I had a hot rookie. He goes, but I would love to have a Hall of Fame quarterback. So it's almost like he's speaking like he has the job, which, I don't know. There's so many things about this, so many ways around this. But again, it's Thanksgiving, and not even Thanksgiving. We're, 10 days away from Thanksgiving, and you know what? No playoffs. Apparently, it's apparent. Another year where they won't get double-digit wins. They're 3-8. The best they could do is 9-8. We were talking about by week 11 being at 8-9 wins, and now they don't have it at all. They could only end up with 9 wins, and that's if they run the table. And let's talk about running the table. They have Seattle yet to play. They have the Rams yet to play. They have Miami to play twice. Miami is on a 2-game winning streak. I think they're 2-1 since Tua came back. They got the Bills to play again. Who else? I'm trying to think who else they have to play. I think they play the Chargers. I'm not sure. So run the table and get, respectable 9-8. No, that's not going to happen. Right now you're looking at who do you want next year? Fashanu Olu, the tackle we picked up in the draft, playing well. Offensive line for the most part has been okay. Could be a lot better. Maybe get rid of one of the older gentlemen. Your defense, Reddick, I have not picked up on Reddick on that field all season. I don't even know he was there. So he's got to be going. Does Adams stay? Garrett Wilson and Sauce and Brees and them, unless they're going to be, traded for draft capital, I think they stay. But they need a breath of fresh air. I don't know. The one thing I do know is I don't want a rookie head coach to come in here. Whether he's offensive-minded or not, we need somebody who knows how to run a program as a head coach, who has run a program as a head coach, and bring in an offensive-minded coaching staff for the offense. Not, a prevent offense. An offense that'll utilize what they have. And get the defense back to where they should be. This defense was supposed to be ranked inside the top 10, and they said with a few plays here and there it could be a top 5. It's been probably 6 weeks since they made an interception. I know they had a fumble recovery yesterday that they almost lost after they recovered it, but still, it's just been it's just been a rough 11 weeks. And this weekend, you get to enjoy other games while your team is off. And then right after Thanksgiving, they're back home on December 1st against the Seattle Seahawks. So that's going to do it. Got my, most of my steps in. Landscapers all over the place. It's a beautiful Monday morning. Everybody have a great week, a great rest of your week, a blessed week, whichever you say it. Tonight's the Cowboy game. They have 3 wins. So now you're watching the Cowboy game. I don't know who they're playing, and you're wondering, do you root for them to get the 4th win so the Jets have a better draft status? That's where it is right now. But listen, we love this team. My girls love this team. Family loves this team. We will continue to support this team. And yeah, I'm proud to be a Jet fan. Look, I got my colors on again today. People look at me like I'm crazy, but it is what it is. It's the life of a Jet fan. And hopefully one day we can celebrate. I'm looking at, listen, the Lions have really come around. There were times when Kansas City was terrible. I mean, I remember watching old NFL films footage, and you had Arrowhead Stadium where 3/4 of the stadium are empty. And now that's the loudest stadium in the world. The Seattle Seahawks for many years were bad, and then Pete Carroll went there. How many years the Raiders were good, and now they're in their lean years. So you have your peaks and your valleys, as Paulie Walnuts once said about him and Tony Soprano. Right now, their relationship is in a valley. It'll peak again. You're watching The Takeoff. Follow us. We're on Twitter at The Jets Takeoff is our Twitter handle. You can email us at jetstakeoff@gmail.com. And of course, on this video, I know it's a little long today, but I'm not going to do one later this week because of the bye. I may just do a review or a history video. But follow us on YouTube. The Takeoff is the account. At The Jets Takeoff is the channel. Take care. God bless.